Today, we're going to go over the updates to the Create Invoice page. Depending on what version you are on, the Create Invoice page has some pretty nice updates to it. One update is the ability to do a PO flip, and this is available if you are using Vendor Portal for vendors to use or for your internal users to use. Search for your vendor, and then search for your purchase order that you want to enter the invoice for. Once you have selected a valid purchase order, you can do PO flip, and it will show you the line item information from that purchase order. You can select, unselect individual lines that you want to have included in your invoice. And when you click update, the line item information will automatically be populated with that information. So if you're creating a PO invoice, you can easily create that purchase order invoice using that PO flip. To edit your line item detail, you can edit your part number, description, quantity, unit of measure, unit price. Extended amount will automatically calculate. If you are adding an additional line item that is not part of the purchase order, you can give it a part number. However, if it is an additional charge, you would just give it a product description, quantity, unit price, and then choose what type of charge it is. Is it freight? Is it tax? Is it miscellaneous? You will need to provide an invoice number and an invoice date. If you have multiple pay sites associated with a vendor, you will choose the pay site or the paid to that the vendor address needs to be paid to. If you're using division, you can choose the division that the invoice belongs to. You can also choose a directed to if you wish. So the directed to would override the PO rules and send the invoice to a specific person that you have chosen. And you can also choose whether the invoice image or an image is required at the time of invoice submission. This is a global setting, so if this setting is on, you will not be able to submit the invoice until an attachment is added. If it is off, then no attachment is required. Vendors would also have this same requirement for attaching the image. They may or may not, depending on the access you want them to have the ability to choose their pay site or their division that the invoice is for. If you were doing a non-purchase order invoice, then you would still choose your vendor, enter your invoice number, invoice date. You can choose an approval group that you want the invoice to go to, or again, choose a directed to. And you have the ability to enter GL coding. The GL coding is going to be based on the configuration that you have set for your specific ERP, but you can choose the GL coding then that belongs to the invoice. Again, this can be one line, this can be multiple lines, it does not matter. It will show you the GL coding you have available and the GL coding that you have entered. At the time that you finalize the GL coding and you submit the invoice total will calculate to the total of your GL coding. This section again is not available for vendors, but can be configured security-wise to be available to some individuals within the company or to all individuals within the company who have access to the Create Invoice page. When it is completed, you just hit update and complete the invoice.